Hello everyone, I am Hera Khan and I have prepared this topic that is cloud concepts for Microsoft Azure Fundamentals exclusively for IT tools training. So the objective of this particular module is to divide the whole module into version 1 and version 2. In this particular module, we will be able to describe and understand cloud services and their benefits. We will understand the key terms that we can encounter when we are working with cloud services. We'll understand public, private, and hybrid cloud models. We'll understand infrastructure as a service, understand platform as a service, and we'll understand software as a service offering of cloud computing. Moving ahead, in Module 1, Version 1, we'll be only covering Lesson 1, Lesson 2, and Lesson 3. Lesson 1 is basically to understand the learning objectives of this particular module. Lesson 2 will be why cloud services, what is cloud, etc. And Lesson 3, we'll understand what are the different types of cloud models. In version 2 of module 1, we'll be going through lesson 4 and lesson 5. Lesson 4 will cover types of cloud services. In lesson 5, we'll talk about different questions that can be covered in this particular module of cloud concepts. So let's start by understanding the first lesson, that is the learning objective. So after we cover module 1, we will be able to describe and understand cloud services and their benefits. We will be able to understand key terms that we will encounter when working with cloud services. Then we'll be able to understand public, private, and hybrid cloud models. And then we'll be able to understand finally infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, types of cloud service offering available to us. So let's start with lesson 2, why cloud services. So what is cloud computing? Cloud computing in very simple terms is the delivery of computing services. What are computing services? You have servers, storage, databases, networking, software, analytics, intelligence, and more. How do you deliver these computing services? Over the internet. And the internet is called as the cloud. It enables faster innovation, flexible resources, and economies of scale. So you typically pay only for cloud services that you use, helping lower your operating cost. You can run your infrastructure more efficiently and you can scale your business needs. Now, there are various key terms and concepts that you will come across while you are studying about cloud computing, cloud services, Azure in particular as well. So, cloud services is a big shift from the traditional way businesses think about IT resources. Cloud services have particular characteristics and considerations, some of which are listed on the slide. So let's go and understand each of these characteristics and considerations. The first is high availability. High availability is the ability to keep services up and running for long periods of time with very little downtime depending on the service in question. For example, in your organization, you might have a mail server or you might have a web server. Now that particular web server, you're providing a service of a website, of for example, a product wherein people can come and order food. Now you're running this particular application within your own office premise. So it's an intranet based application and all the users which are part of your organization can access this application. However, now consider the server on which they are running, which is also in-house. Probably there's a power failure or even if there is a power backup, it doesn't turn up on time. Then the onus of availability again will depend upon you. However, if you take this infrastructure to the cloud, you will have the capability of making sure that your services are up and running for long periods of time. Now, when you are making sure that your services are up and running for long periods of time, it means that you are making it redundant. You are making multiple copies of that particular application available in the cloud. So, for example, if one server fails, another server will be available for you. So it's an excellent capability. It's the most sought after capability of the cloud services. After high availability, you have scalability. Scalability is the ability to increase or decrease resources for any given workload. You can add additional resources to service a workload, known as scaling out, and you can add additional capabilities to manage an increase in demand to the existing resource, known as scaling up. Now, what does this mean? For example, you again have a web server which you have hosted in the cloud. That web server has the capability of, for example, a 10 GB RAM, it has 500 GB of storage capability, and etc. other details. Now, when you're scaling out, it means you're creating another instance of the same server. When you're scaling up, what will you do? You'll increase the demand in the existing resource. It means you will be increasing the RAM, you'll be increasing the hard drive, you'll be increasing the processing speed, etc. of that particular resource. And you also have the capability to do it automatically. As in, when you will see that the incoming demand is increasing, you can automatically put in a command which will scale up or scale down your resources depending upon the demand which is coming. The next very important characteristic is elasticity. So the ability to automatically or dynamically increase or decrease resources is needed. Elastic resources match the current needs, and resources are added or removed automatically to meet future needs when it's needed, and also from the most advantageous geographic location. A distinction between scalability and elasticity is that elasticity is done automatically. So when I was talking about in scalability, you have the capability to automatically scale up or down. That automatic capability within scalability is called as elasticity. The next characteristic is agility, the ability to react quickly. Cloud services can allocate and deallocate resources quickly. They are provided on demand via self-service, so vast amounts of computing resources can be provisioned in minutes. There is no manual intervention in provisioning or deprovisioning services. Furthermore, you have the capability of fault tolerance. So the ability to remain up and running even in the event of a component or service no longer functioning. Typically, redundancy is built into the cloud architecture so that if one component fails, a backup component takes its place. The type of service is said to be what? It will be tolerant to faults. So you'll have multiple instances of same services, not again within the same hardware infrastructure. It will be distributed so that if one infrastructure fails, you'll have another fault line up for you to provide the tolerance. Then you have disaster recovery. So the ability to recover from an event which has taken down a cloud service is called as disaster recovery. So it can happen very quickly with automation and services being readily available to use. Also, it can have global disaster recovery capability. If you talk about various cloud offerings like Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud, you will have the capability to manage resources in different regions. If you have one server in one region, for example, Southeast Asia, if you have another resource in East Asia, you can easily have a disaster recovery capability between these two regions. Then you have the global reach. So the ability to reach audiences around the globe. Cloud services can have presence in various regions across the globe, which you can access, giving you a presence in those regions even though you may not have any infrastructure in that region. Then you get customer latency capabilities. So if your customers are experiencing slowness with a particular cloud service, they are said to be experiencing some latency. Even though modern fiber optics are fast, it can still take time for services to react to customer actions, if again the service is not local to the consumer. So cloud services have the ability to deploy resources in data centers around the globe, thus addressing to what? Customer latency issues. Now if you, for example, would want to, start a Facebook kind of a application, and you have that entrepreneurial mind, but you do not have enough uh, capital that you can invest in these infrastructure, what you can do is you can go and create and host your website in the cloud. And as and when your audience base is increasing, and as and when your audience is becoming global, you can actually utilize the capability of cloud computing to make sure that your customer is able to experience the application with least amount of latency. The next capability, the characteristic, is predictive cost consideration. The ability for users to predict what cost they will incur for a particular cloud service is one of the main characteristics of cloud services. Cost for individual servers is readily available. It is visible on any of the cloud platforms if you go and visit, and there are tools that are provided to help you predict what cost a service will incur at a per hour basis, at a per day basis, or a per month basis, or a per year basis. You can also perform analysis based on the future growth. Furthermore, there are multiple other characteristics as well, like it increases your productivity, and it helps you, it doesn't require you to have extensive technical IT infrastructure skills. But the very important consideration also to note is security. So on-site data centers typically require a lot of hardware setup, otherwise known as what? Racking and stacking. Software patching, and other time-consuming IT management course. So cloud computing basically eliminates the need for many of these tasks, so IT teams can spend time on achieving